Sorry, on the guy getting a text. Yeah. We reacted to. And A finally fell around out of this dream, but me! Yeah, that. I'm making you. This time? I know. Hello and welcome back. Wait, I always said that. Yes, you did. Yes, I do stuck here. I've been doing a lot lately. I still don't get it. How is he here? I said don't moan about it. That way, Elliot. I told Elliot to keep calm. I am keeping calm. Jeez Louise. The Tezzies are the only one that's not keeping calm. Not calm! Not calm! A dead person is alive! Well, dead Teddy's alive, but still, you get the idea! Good point. But still, you gotta be calm. There must be a reasonable explanation for this. Then again, I want to listen to this. Are you serious? Are you listening to another one of my little Dashi thing? Yeah? Yeah.
Dawn came too early for Brian. New aches and pains greeted him as he came to full consciousness.
You like
He
it?
laughed to himself. This was getting old now.
Yeah!
How long would it be before he stopped waking up feeling like this?
I don't know.
Sitting up, he looked for Dash.
Hey?
He saw where she had been sleeping next to him. But in her place was a note written in the sand about having to be to work before sunup, and she'd be away till dark. To please be safe, and that she loved him. Standing to his feet, he grabbed the newspaper Dash had brought the night before, folded it in half, and sharply snapped it under his armpit. In his other hand,
You
he
ain't like
held
that.
a small, whitish roll of soft paper. With the confidence in his step, he walked into the woods.
To the bathroom!
He relit the campfire and rummaged around camp, making breakfast, and generally
That's
trying
all I
to wake
could.
up without coffee. Today, he needed to cut down.
Sound effects! The sound effects!
As he ate, he steadied his nerves and reminded himself that he needed to be calm and not get freaked out by every little thing he heard and saw.
Like
His mind,
me.
of course, betrayed him on that.
Sharp. Ah!
Visions of timber wolves and manticores invaded his private thoughts, showing him a variety of gory ways he would be dismembered. Dash would search for days, only to find a bloody piece of ripped-up clothing.
Stop it!
Father, she would become an old spinster, never marry or become a wonder woman.
Stop thinking about her! It's causing me out! Scream out! Show! Punch!
Get ready. He had puttered around camp far longer than he needed to.
I said show!
Staring into the woods.
Ow.
Figured it was either time to get off the pot.
He said the P word. Poop.
Going further than he had ever gone before. That now more familiar feeling washed over him as it had every morning. Magic. Walking into the woods, he kept a wary eye out, making a mental note of certain large trees and landmarks so he could find his way back. Wandering around for a short time, he started to relax, and the natural beauty of the everfree forest started to become pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Huge tangled trees and lush ground covers spread out in all directions. He was really quite impressed.
Yeah, it is
He had
pretty
to walk
cool.
into the trunk of a tree to indicate the direction he had come from. Shortly after, he fell at his first tree. A small,
Timber!
Then again, he couldn't tell the difference between a pine, fir, or cedar tree. So, he decided that this one was going to be a fir tree. It wasn't nearly as hard to log
More like a full-wheel tree. Hey, that was bad.
and cut it to length. It was
Yeah, really bad, eh?
Happy
Sure.
with the results, he began to repeat this process for the better part of the day. To his surprise and relief, no hordes of monsters came to see what the noise was all about.
You.
Rainbow Dash was very sense of direction was nowhere near as sharp as normal. Several times, in fact, she caught herself getting off course. Being on time today was important. It was the third Friday of the month, and she had to be there early for another in a long series of boring budget meetings.
You could just do that by me. You know that would never work.
Some of her budget would actually be based on her reports. She dreaded the idea of having these meetings, much less having to make a contribution to them. Her supervisor had told her that when she became the team lead for the Ponyville weather crew, it came with a pay raise and a few more responsibilities. What he didn't mention was she would have paperwork by the flank load. Thankfully, for her, she had finished these reports weeks ago. Landing at the WMMO, she was greeted by the other team leads from all over the central equestrian region.
Wow.
In a dull, windowless room to give their greetings. On the plus side, coffee and donuts had been provided.
Donuts!
Several hours passed as one
Donuts!
boring
Donuts!
first with a short but version of the same thing that they had endured all morning. The delegation from Cloudsdale seemed to take her narrative well enough and thanked her for the report. Feeling better about the situation, she looked over to her boss to see if he would give her the go-ahead to leave. She still had other duties to take care of. He noticed her and waved to her, signaling that she needn't stay for the remainder of the meeting.
Yeah, go. Shoot. You gotta do your job now.
She returned to her seat and grabbed her saddlebags off the floor. As she began to leave, she stopped in mid-stride. A sick feeling came over her. She felt it coming, like a sparkling in her mind. This was stronger, more tangible than any other before it. She could feel it bodily this time, a twisting and pitching of her mind. She let out a pitiful, childlike cry for help. The floor felt like it was racing up to meet her. Flailing wildly, trying to catch herself, she blacked out. When she relaxed and came to, she found that she was in the big meeting room at the WMMO. There were several dozen team leads here, and they were all staring at her. She gulped and smiled nervously. Her boss marched over and grabbed hold of her under a foreleg and forcibly walked her out of the meeting. Once in the hallway, he turned on her, his eyes narrowing in anger. His wings flared as he spoke.
What the heck is your problem, Rainbow Dash? You've been acting like a freak for the past several days, and I want to know what's going on.
What do you mean several times?
Rainbow
Oh, wait.
They're shocked at his verbal assault.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What I'm talking about? What do you call that out there, then? You started flailing around and yelling for your dad.
What? I did not.
Dash was alarmed that he'd accuse her of that kind of behavior. She clearly remembered something. Something about falling? Or was it swimming, maybe? She blinked several times, trying to bring back what she could about the meeting hall. Everything felt normal, just a little fuzzy. Then again, she had troubles not falling asleep in these meetings anyway.
Are you listening to me?
Ah! Yes! I answer!
I'm going to be forced to pull you off of cloud busting duty until you can show me that you ain't going to be freaking out again. Got it?
Got it!
Now get out of here before I transfer you to Firewatch.
Rainbow turned crisply
Aye, aye, Captain.
the main office to grab a worksheet for the day. A sudden feeling persisted in her mind. A niggling idea that she had forgotten something. Brushing the feeling aside, she left the WMMO to tend to her duties as the best cloudbuster Ponyville ever had. She was, after all, the best flyer around. She felt
Cloud busting! If there's something cloudy in your neighborhood, and there's too many clouds, cloud busters! Da da da, ringing the cloud, da da da. No cloud, da da da. No cloud, da da.
She found one of her
Cloud busters!
Settling down, she dozed off rather quickly. Rainbow Dash once read that dreams are an elusive and funny affair. They can be many things to many persons. They speak to us about ourselves more often than we might otherwise like to admit. Dreams, it is said, are the language of the soul. Dash never bought into any of that hogwash. To her, dreams were just your imagination running wild.
Yeah, but still, it's
On
cool.
the rare occasions that she could remember her dreams, they were usually of her winning a competition or showing off her amazing moves to the Wonder Bowls, and them being impressed and begging her to join. This dream was altogether different.
Huh?
She sat on a small grassy hill overlooking an open field that seemed to go on into eternity. Here and there in the distance, trees dotted the landscape. A light fog clung to the ground as the sun crested the horizon. She closed her eyes, and she could feel the heartbeat of the earth. The sun warmed her face, and she smiled. Complete peace flowed through and around her. Everything here, including
It feels like a relaxation thing. Just do this.
She existed in this bliss for a moment, or 100 years. To her, it was the same. A rumble of distant thunder rippled across the land. Opening her eyes, she could make out a dark line of clouds in the far distance, obscuring the morning sun. She stared at the clouds, unfazed by the presence. Another peal of thunder. This one, however, sounded like a voice was in the midst of the sound.
A voice?
Tilting her head to the side, she strained to hear more clearly. Moments later, the clap of thunder echoed across the land. Closer now. There was definitely a voice there. What was it saying, though? A cool wind picked up, blowing her mane around her face. A voice crashed down around her.
Rainbow Dash, wake up!
Ah! Son of a down!
Exhausted. Blinking, she turned and looked down at the source of the voice.
Oh. Hey, Applejack.
I was being people!
What we doing right now? Yeah, sleeping. Get your flank out of that tree right now before I come up there and get you down myself.
Get the fuck
Back
out.
to face Applejack, Rainbow Dash grew annoyed.
You were supposed to have this rain start half an hour ago. Now get moving.
Applejack stomped her hoof in the dirt to emphasize her point. Thinking back, Rainbow thought about her work order for that day. She vaguely recalled something about a storm, or maybe it was supposed to be clear today. She wasn't entirely sure. Everything suddenly pitched and reeled. She thought she was falling out of the tree. Her head went fuzzy and her mind tingled. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. And her thoughts clicked into place. She remembered that the rain was supposed to be started in the afternoon. She drew a deep breath, realizing she had spent nearly the whole day as that other Rainbow Dash. The one that never knew her human father. The one that was carefree and blissfully unaware of someone who loved her more than his own life. Applejack was right, though. She needed to get that rain started.
Darn it!
Dash bolted out of her napping tree and left a rainbow trail etched across the afternoon sky.
Gotta go fast!
Get her act together.
Dash shot up into the sky and began to bust loose the wind.
You still don't make the suspicious. Not even the teensy bit suspicious. Ow!
She felt tired, a weariness that seemed to come from deep inside. She had been
I doesn't make that no one's even finding this suspicious.
different. This was a weariness of her soul. Collecting her thoughts, she decided to go back to Pop's place, eat, and get some shut-eye. She could deal with her paperwork later. Right now, all she wanted was rest. The flight to the lake was a little more than a blur. Drawing close to the camp, she saw her father sitting in his chair looking at the beginnings of an actual log cabin. It wasn't very tall yet, but the simple structure was coming along. It lacked the creative beauty of the homes and businesses in town, but it would be a home nonetheless. In fact, it would be a great home, because he was there.
Yeah,
Dash sat down on the shoreline, drawing the attention of her father.
but then again, anyone could be
He
home.
began excitedly telling her about the events of his day, how he braved the ever-free forest to gather his logs, cutting them to length and fitting them one to another. His excitement was contagious, enough so that Dash started to actually feel better. Having him here made her feel...
You need one? Achoo!
She felt as though the world was
That?
broken, and all the troubles of her day began to melt away.
Yeah.
They continued to talk as dinner was prepared. Brian reclined proudly in his makeshift chair. The firelight cast shadows behind him on the short walls of the log cabin. They danced and weaved about in tune with the flickering of the flames. Dash was lazily but carefully telling him of her day while eating an apple left over from dinner. As she talked, Brian's mind drifted back to when she was young. The night he found her, the first time she'd experienced a thunderstorm, and she shivered as she lay curled up next to him on the couch. His mind continued to wander through their past as he listened to her. When she finally finished, he looked at her with a huge smile. A certain memory had come to his mind, and he wanted to relive it with her. I remember when you were about maybe, 5 or 6, and I gave you a CD of the Muppet songs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I came into the living room one afternoon, and you were at the coffee table, coloring or something, and you were singing.
Oh jeez, Dad.
I watched you singing like that for like 5 minutes. You were off in your own little world.
I'm the Disney princess and I can sing along. Yeah. You can sing it's weird,
You
no.
remember how it goes?
Yeah, I'll never.
But I better sing it than him.
Brian
Oh, McDonald's had a fun. That's worse!
formed across his face.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows?
Whoa,
What's on
the
the
other
other
side.
Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. And rainbows have nothing to hide.
In her reverie, she didn't feel it coming this time. Her mind pitched and twisted, tearing
Uh-oh! Why so to get this point?
Suddenly melted into this strange and unfamiliar fear. Her voice trailed off as she stared wide-eyed in horror at the creature that was reclined across the campfire.
Uh-oh.
What the heck is that thing?
Why
Uh-oh.
was she sitting across from it? Confused and frightened, she quickly turned and ran. Brian opened his eyes to see Dash turning around and bolt away from the unfinished cabin. Sitting up, he called out to her. Dashy! Dashy, where are you going? Brian stood on the shore of the lake calling out. When she hadn't returned a few minutes later, he turned back towards his unfinished cabin and sat down, confused as to what had just happened.
Go out there!
What does that thing know my name?
Dash tore through the night, racing to her cloud home.
I said go after her!
1 second, I'm sitting in a... Wait a second. Where was I?
She struggled to remember where she last was, before finding herself in front of a hairless monster. Confusion dominated her mind. A fuzzy fog prevented her from recalling anything coherently. Flying on, Dash saw a town in the distance. Here and there, a few lights dotted the community. Looking closely at Sugar Cube Corner, Dash could just make out the light in Pinkie Pie's room. Changing her heading, she flew straight to Pinkie Pie's home.
Pinkie
Landing with a
Pie!
graceful thud on the windowsill, Rainbow looked in and called out to a friend. Pinkie sat at her desk reading a letter.
Pinkie, there's a monster or something out of the lake. We need to get Twilight and the others and go see what it's up to.
Rainbow Dash looked expectantly at Pinkie Pie. Her calm demeanor confused Dash even further. She stood up from her desk and slowly walked over to the window.
Pinkie, what's wrong? We need to go right now.
Pinkie looked up at Rainbow Dash.
Tell me exactly what you saw, Dashy. Are you serious?
Pinkie's calm tone further confused Dash.
I don't get it either. Why is Pinkie Pie called for one? Why is Pinkie Pie called for one? Why is Pinkie Pie called for one?
Well, I'm going to get Twilight by myself. Dash, did you see your father? What? My dad? Of course I didn't see him. Ugh, what's the matter with you? My dad's at home in Cloudsville, working on his cabin.
Her words trailed off as a horrible realization started to dawn.
Cabin?
Her mind felt like it was vibrating.
Nah.
He's by the lake in, Cloudsville. Oh, Scasia.
My blinder.
What's happening to me?
Rainbow swallowed hard. Her mind recalled entirely different facts about her two fathers and blended them into a mixed-up collage of memories without rhyme or reason. Dash's face was a vision of twisted desperation. Her eyes pleaded for help. What felt like an oncoming sneeze rushed forward in her head, and Dash felt a gentle untwisting in her mind. When it had passed, Her recollection was normal again, and she started to weep.
Pinky, help me, please! I can't take this anymore. I don't know who I am. Am I from Earth or here? Both or neither? Who am I?
Clutching her hooves to her head, she rocked back and forth on the windowsill, weeping out of desperation. Pinky reached out and gathered Rainbow into a hug, pulling her gently to the floor. Holding her tightly, she cooed and tried to calm her best friend.
It's okay, Dashie. You're going to be all right. I'm here for you. What am I going to do, Pinky? I can't go to Twilight or Celestia. They'll find out about Dad. He'd be taken away from me. There, Dashie. Shh.
No, actually, no.
Do you trust me?
Dash took a moment and settled down.
Kind of. I have a plan. A plan to get you fixed up. Do you remember Little Strongheart? The buffalo girl out near Appaloosa? Yeah, I remember her. At least, I think it's me that remembers her. I don't know anymore. I wrote to her about what's going on. And no, I didn't mention your dad. Just that you're having problems with your memories.
Relaxing slightly, Dash started to get a hopeful look on her face.
What did she say? Can she help? She said that they have a new medicine bowl in the village, and he agreed to help you sort out your memory problems. It's all in that letter.
Pinkie Pie pointed to an open letter on her desk. Hope was clearly rising up in Rainbow.
Yes! Oh!
He needed this.
When can we go? Right now? No, silly. There aren't any trains to Appaloosa until tomorrow morning.
So you have to go to
The first thing tomorrow, we are taking a road trip.
road trip!
Road trip. Oh, never mind. Really? How can you, all ponies, not know what a road trip is?
You're thinking, why you don't know what a road trip
She
is?
recalled the way she had bolted out of Dad's campsite, leaving him there without saying a word. Then again, in her defense, he was a monster in her eyes. Thinking quickly, she came up with a clever idea. Looking at Pinky, a mischievous grin crossed Dashie's face.
How many cupcakes do you have?
Holding a box of cupcakes in her hooves, Rainbow flew carefully towards her dad's lakeside retreat. Feeling mortified for having taken off in such a way, she hoped to use the cupcakes as a cover for her momentary collapse.
That won't work
She
out,
watched the
probably.
skies as he grew more and more sleepy. She had taken off in such a hurry. Did I say something to upset her? He was searching and pondering. A pale blue dot appeared in the sky, grabbing his attention. Staring intently, he tried to make out if it was in fact Dashie returning. Slowly, the dot grew, and a rush of relief poured over Brian. It was Dash, and she looked to be holding something in her forehooves. He rushed over to where she had landed on the beach. Dash, what happened? Where did you go? With a false confidence, Dash smiled from ear to ear as though nothing was the matter.
Nothing's wrong!
Give us some treats.
You took off so suddenly.
Yeah, you're so sorry!
Something that might have upset you.
Yeah, you kind of looked upset.
You worry too much. I just wanted to get us something yummy.
She was hoping that her false front was convincing enough to throw Dad off the scent.
No, I am still going on this.
Hands, he looked at her with some suspicion. He thought about grilling her with questions.
Go on, quick!
Into eyes, and he studied his daughter. Her eyes betrayed her. There was something up, but she was handling it, as she would put it. He decided that whatever was really going on was either over, or more likely she wasn't going to discuss it. And once she'd made up her mind, it was near impossible to get her to change it. Opening the box, he gawked at the contents. They looked really appetizing. Smiling, he thanked her, and they both walked back to the cabin. Rainbow realized her father knew something was up, but wasn't going to pursue it.
How does he do it?
When she was little, he could almost always tell when she was trying to pull the wool over his eyes. When she was older, and she called him out on it, all he'd say was, "It's called dad magic."
Dad magic! Dad magic!
Pops next to the fire and dying on Pinky's confectionery delights. Curling up next to him, she sighed deeply.
I love you, Daddy.
Aw, that was sweet of you. petted her head. She wasn't normally so affectionate.
Pat,
Although
pat,
the last week had been a very stressful
pat,
and
pat,
trying time for the both of them.
pat, pat,
Maybe she just
pat,
needed
pat,
someone to be there and
pat,
make sure
pat.
that everything
I don't know
was
why
going
I'm
to be
patting.
okay.
Pat, pat,
Even she
pat,
needed
pat,
a rock from time
pat,
to time.
pat, pat,
It
pat,
wasn't
pat,
one of
pat,
those
pat,
jobs
pat.
after all.
Stop him!
Oh, I have to go to Appaloosa tomorrow morning and won't be back until Sunday night. Are you going to be okay without me?
Brian feigned horror. He dramatically held his hand to his forehead.
You're leaving me again? Oh, whatever shall I do?
She pulled upright and lightly popped him in the chest with her hoof.
Stop that. I'm serious. Do you need anything while I'm away?
Jeez, Dash, I'll be fine. I'm a big boy now. I even checked into the Everfree Forest and survived.
Yes! I am a survivor!
Chest like
I'm a survivor! I forgot how the song goes.
Okay, then. I just wanted to make sure.
She lay her head back down and finished eating her cupcake.
Well, look at you being all grown up and responsible.
I don't want anything to happen to you.
Hearing her mumble under her breath, Brian grinned and went back to eating his cupcake. The two lay there quietly eating until Brian yawned. Dash got up and retrieved the blanket and tossed it over them. Settling down for the night, she laid her head on it and allowed herself some much-needed rest. Tomorrow, she had a lot to do. Her father, overcome by his physical exertion that day, quietly dozed off, and a figure with teal eyes appeared at the edge of the forest again. A small smile formed across the figure's face.
You are almost there, Rainbow Dash. Just a little longer now.
Huh?
Rainbow Dash was sitting on the grassy hilltop again, a blissful peace surrounding her.
Oh, again.
A golden meadow lazily pitched to and fro as if driven by a wind she could not perceive. The foggy blanket across the landscape beneath her was beginning to break up. Here and there, thin columns of mist rose into the air. The sun was barely over the horizon. She stared into its light, relishing the sweet peace that seemed to pour out over this idyllic landscape. A moment passed, or was it a year? Time didn't matter or mean anything. Gradually, she sensed a presence behind her. Calmly, she looked back. A smile of pure joy crossed her face, and the whole world around her brightened. Without saying a word, he sat down next to her. By just simply being there, he brought the only thing that could make this place even better. She happily sighed and rested against him. The two became aware of a path in front of them. The path worked its way down the little hill and joined a road. The road stretched off into the distance, like a delicate ribbon that lay out across the land. As if on cue, they rose together and began walking.
You don't mind, I'll stay here because this is so peaceful! Peaceful! I want to listen to that song. Listen to that. Yeah. Come on. Ow! I'm almost asleep. Ow! Are you sure this is not a dream? I am pretty sure. I mean, you were within our consciousness, and then there's all those dreams where there's multiple dreams. Where you have to watch, so you don't really know. Only know in that case. Well, there's only one more chapter to go in this series, so maybe we'll find out next time? Next time! On Dragon Ball E, we find out what's gonna happen next. See you guys then!